All right, the Reds, it's the second looking back at Liverpool's, well, I was going to say disastrous defeat, but it wasn't a disastrous defeat. We're out of the FA Cup. We lost 2-1 to Wolves. You know that by now. Is it disastrous that we're out of the FA Cup, or is it quite clearly a case where the real targets are A, the Premier League, B, the Champions League, and wouldn't both be nice? Well, I've got Paul, Cope and Ian Ryan with me to have a chat about that. Before we get going, I'm going to run through the stats early. Going to do it from the very top this time. So when you look at the stats, and obviously we know that analysis is more than stats, but we're going to start with stats as the starting point. So Liverpool, across the 90 minutes, have 61% of the ball. They have 8 shots, which is the same as what Wolves managed. Only 2 on target from Liverpool, 3 on target from Wolves. What else have we got here? 3 corners each. Big chances, Wolves have 2, Liverpool have none. Liverpool obviously hit the woodwork as well via the Shaqiri free kick, which was tipped by the goalkeeper. Fantastic save. 6 shots inside the box from Liverpool as well, etc, etc. I mean, my point here would be that lots of the stats actually look not that bad. 87% of the passing is accurate. 89% of the dribbles work. They win more duels, Liverpool, than Wolves do. All that kind of thing. So you sort of look at it, and if you hadn't seen the game, you could almost make a case for saying, oh well, Liverpool didn't play that badly. If you break it down into first and second half, Liverpool have 62% of the ball in the first half. Second half, it's down to 60. But Liverpool have 7 shots in the second half, and they had 1 in the first. So there was clearly sort of a bit of a step up after the break, maybe a little bit of a bollocking from Klopp and that kind of thing. Obviously that kind of thing goes against the idea that we've disrespected the cup and all this sort of crap that's going on from more mainstream journalists. Also the stuff as well about the strength of the side. Well, he brings on the big guns. It looks like he's trying to get something back from it at the end of the game. But yeah, opening thoughts really. I mean, what did you make of it? I mean, how are you feeling sort of a few hours on, having slept on it?
Yeah, I mean, you never want to see Liverpool lose a game of football. I said something around that on Talking Reds where there was loads of chat about let's just go out because we've got bigger fish to fry. And I kind of do get that story around, there's a league, there's a European Cup to try and win. That said, once the game starts, Robbo, you want to win that football match. That's how it is. That's what fans feel. That's how we react. I thought that the tempo of the game was really strange. It was like a friendly/testimonial for the first half an hour.
From both sides?
From both sides, yeah. There was a real lack of intensity. So I thought that was odd. In terms of the selection, I don't think anyone could have a go at the manager for the side he picked. I think we all expected 8-9 changes, if not more. That's what we got. It felt right given the games we've got coming up. I think what disappointed me the most was some of the senior players that played last night. I expected more, if I'm honest. I'm disappointed in a few of them because I think, there's a chance for them to go and win a football match there that ensures they get to play more football because some of them were only featuring games like the FA Cup. And some of the senior pros just didn't do themselves any favours. You have the incident early on where Lovren goes off and we obviously have to bring the young lad on. He kind of listened for 16 years of age. He does really, really well. There's little bits where he's under pressure and you're thinking, it's a huge step up for him, this. But as the game grows, he does as well. But then there's players like Sturridge and Origi has a really poor first half. He gets his goal. But people like Daniel Sturridge, I'm thinking, lad, this is a chance to put a seed of doubt in the manager's mind. Now, realistically, he's probably always going to want to go to those front 3. But maybe you do get a bit more game time if you put that seed of doubt there. But he doesn't. And I thought it was a really lacklustre display from
those two you mentioned.
Pros.
Yeah, Sturridge and Origi. There's only 1 pass between them in the first half, and only 1 touch in the opposition's penalty area between the two of them as well. And by half time, only 2 players, Shaqiri and Sturridge, had touched the ball in the Wolves penalty area. Liverpool only had 9 touches in the Wolves box across the whole game, and Origi's goal was the first shot on target, and the only other one of note is Shaqiri's free kick. So there's what Ian's got into early there and was something I was going to bring up is really whether, I mean, we know about the teenagers and their full debuts and we can be really positive about Jones and Camacho and the young lad, the young Dutch lad, Hoover, is that how we're saying
I
it?
think it is, but yeah, it's definitely not Hoover.
It's not Hoover.
No.
But, you know, at 16, what a brilliant opportunity, and I think most people would say he took it. You know, you see him bringing it into midfield and threading the pass and, you know, not looking out of his depth. So to be doing that at 16, absolutely brilliant and a real positive for Liverpool. But it is, as Ian's mentioned, the senior players where you're a bit like, well, is this where there's a bit of an issue? And, you know, I've read all the sort of mainstream media today, and there's lots of questions there about the depth of Liverpool's squad, the quality of those people around the fringe, and sort of just the attitude and application from some of those lads last night.
Yeah, I think there's loads in it, isn't it? I think it's worthwhile saying to begin with that, I mean, talk about some of the BBC punditry and commentary, I think it was just ludicrous, to be honest. There's no contemplation at all of the run we've just had, that we're in for our first league title in a generation, 29 years, the best chance we've ever had against the sort of powerhouse of City. You won't get this opportunity that often, probably. But there was none of that context put across during the game. And also, despite all of the stuff that we'll get into, we only lost because they scored a screamer and we hit the post. Like, Shaqiri's shot doesn't go in by about 3 millimetres. Talking about the City one. But I think Ruddy gets just a touch on it, doesn't it? And without that little touch, it goes in and we draw the game. So if you sort of look at the uproar that's come out afterwards, you'd think we got absolutely annihilated, and we didn't. And we were playing a really good Premiership side that didn't really change its team that much, and we completely changed. But saying all that, sort of the caveats, I'm with Ian. The biggest problem for me in these games, and it's amazing how often this happens actually, the young lads come in and they're all the ones you're watching thinking, oh, I wonder how they'll do. And the young lads tend to do quite well in these games. They come, they show what they can do, and everybody gives them rightly a bit of leeway because of the situation they're in. The senior pros in these games, for me, that's where the scrutiny lies. And when you've got the likes of Moreno, who only a week ago was moaning in the Spanish press about not getting a go, and the likes of Daniel Sturridge, for me, that was a really... My reflection waking up this morning was that's a really poor sign for his career, I think, because he looked like a man to me who is not interested in playing unless he's playing with the other big boys. But where does
out of contract at the end of the season.
But he's already been to West Brom on loan,
yeah,
and obviously didn't fancy that very much. And I was sitting there thinking, because I think, is he only 28 still? He's one of those players who seems older than he is, but he's not that old. Where do you go next then? Because if you only want to play in amongst the big boys, and the way he plays football is a bit like that, isn't it? You need to bring me into the game, and I'll drop deep and I'll pass to you. And don't get me wrong, there are lots of players like that over the years who, yeah, look great amongst other good players, but can't actually do anything by themselves. Where does he go next? And for me, it was something that Shearer said on the BBC actually, which was right. I think is the attitude just didn't look there to me. And even when he came off as a sub, it didn't, and you can read too much into all this, but it did look a little bit like, not very happy with you here, mate. Both ways round.
Yeah.
And the fact that he comes off before Origi is a really big sign, isn't it? I think actually his display was awful.
It's a weird one, the Sturridge thing, because I think he's still got an awful lot of fans who kind of stand up in his corner, if you like, and still back him and still...
Well, people point to Chelsea and say that he started against PSG.
The PSG game was... I think it was okay. Maybe it got bigged up a little bit more than it deserved, but I think he does okay in that game. I'm just not sure he can offer what Jurgen Klopp wants anymore. You know, I think you can look at it two ways, really. You know, is it the stuff that Kopi mentions there, or does his body just not allow him to do the things that we need from a top class centre forward? I think it's probably the latter, but for me now, you know, it's sad to say, but the guy's done for me at this level. I just don't think Liverpool can be looking towards a Daniel Sturridge and thinking that he can come in and affect big level football matches enough. And
that's the key, isn't it? Affecting it, because I think, you know, what's disappointing watching it is that, okay, you could just say, okay, well, Liverpool aren't fluent, it's a bit of a mad side, it's a side that hasn't really played together before, but nevertheless, you know, someone who's played at the top level for as long as him, you expect them to find a way to influence it, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, even if that means drop deep or go wide or make a run over there, find a way to influence it, find a way to get on the ball, find a way to help Liverpool win the match. Yeah,
because I think he's always been someone who's been, you know, kind of framed as a clever footballer as well. You know, you've seen him come on in other games. I always remember the game at Leicester away where he comes on, he's really clever, he holds the ball, he gets involved, short pass, long passes, making clever runs. There wasn't really any of that. Now, no, I don't want to make this about the Daniel Sturridge show, because there was other players there as well who I felt, you know, could have done more. You know, I think maybe around someone like Naby Keita, there is the kind of thing about he's still a fairly new player, so you maybe have to make a few allowances for that. But again, you're probably a little bit disappointed in the output there from Naby so far. I think I've been one who's been really kind of, I don't know, kind of really backing him to say, no, he's going to come good. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And I still think it will, by the way. It's not me writing off Naby Keita. I think he's going to be a brilliant player for this club. But I think in terms of where he is right now, probably most of us thought he maybe would have been a bit further down the line in terms of delivering 8, 9 out of 10 performances. I think the manager would probably say something similar, to be honest. But obviously, you know, only behind closed doors. It's just not really happening for him at the minute. And I've seen people say, well, actually, maybe he's not getting a run in his favoured position. But like you said, sometimes, Robert, you've just got to make things happen for you and take opportunities when you get them. I saw a tweet last night where it said, you know, if people are kind of, you know, slacking off Naby Keita, then they're going to look foolish in 6 months' time when people start digging up those tweets. And that may be the case, because from what I've seen during his time in Germany, he's a wonderful football player. But you can only judge him on what you're seeing right now. And at this minute, again, he's not really affecting football matches in the way that you'd like him to. But you can caveat it with the fact that he's still new. He's got to learn the way Liverpool play, and some of that does take time. But on the plus side of things, I'd have to say, I thought Fabinho was really good in a position where he's not really featured an awful lot, either here or even for Brazil. I know he's done little bits at right back and stuff. But I thought in a defence that was makeshift at best, he has a really good game. You can maybe look at the goal where Milner puts him in a bit of trouble and he has to make a decision. He dives in, doesn't work for him. But other than that, I thought he was outstanding for most of the game, to be honest. Loads of blocks, challenges.
And as you say, you know,
he led. You know what I mean? He was
in the first choice back four with the proper keeper behind him again and all that. You sort of think, well, if he's now got to have a bit of a run at centre half, which it looks like he's going to have to, then that's okay, basically. Yeah. I mean, I just want to sort of run through some of the stats of the senior players that you've mentioned, and then Neil's going to take over for a second with the tactics board, and then we'll be back. But Sturridge, 70 minutes played, obviously no goals, no assists, no shots on target, no shots off target, no shots blocked, no dribble attempts, 12 accurate passes in the 70 minutes, no crosses, no long balls. He wins 4 of his 6 duels, which I suppose isn't bad. Dispossessed twice, was fouled 3 times, 1 clearance, no tackles, and that's it. It doesn't read great.
There's a really interesting stat that's not there, which as I'm listening to you, Ian, talking, the thing that stands out to me, and picking on Sturridge, and I will pick on Sturridge because he's the most senior of the forward players especially, but this does apply to all of them. And it's something I've actually credited Shaqiri for when he comes on as a sub a lot of the time, and he didn't do it at all yesterday, so he was another culprit. When you're a senior pro in a game like that, in any game, but especially in a game like that, you've got to demand the ball. I think it's fine if you have a bad game. Naby Keita, you're clearly rusty, still not feeling it. You can see the frustration in him, the one where he tried to pick out Salah at the end and just got it all wrong. You can see the frustration. I'm fine with that, that's okay. What I'm not fine with is being anonymous in the game. And the game I always remember for stuff like this is, and it sounds like a really mad one to pick out, was remember the year after we won the European Cup and we had to qualify from the beginning and we went away to TNS and we played basically a B team because we should have been able to waltz past them, and I went to the game and Jibril Cissé was playing up front, head and shoulders above everybody else he should have been, but he wasn't. We were struggling. Steven Gerrard came on as a sub and as he walked on the pitch he was saying to everyone, give me the ball, give me the ball. And I remember him getting the ball, scoring a goal, picking the ball up, putting it on the centre circle, putting it back on the centre spot, and saying to the team, come on. Yeah. It was like a boxer going, come on, we'll go again. And then he just kept saying, give me the ball, I'll box this. And that's what I expect of senior pros. Daniel Sturridge, so the stat that's not there is, how many times does he receive the ball? He should have been at the front of that pitch saying to everyone, give it to me. I'm the best player on this pitch. And it was just the complete opposite of that. At least Origi, in fairness to him, looked a bit busy. I don't think he's very good anymore, if I'm honest. But at least he looked like he was trying to win headers.
Second half, there was a bit more output, wasn't it?
It was just a bit more like effort and energy. And don't get me wrong, it's still not great. But I just think And I think, in fairness to say, not picking on Sturridge, Shaqiri was the same. And even the likes of Moreno.
Yeah.
Moreno is a senior pro now. And you can say, well, he's only a left-back. But if you'd have put Andy Robertson in that team, he'd have probably dominated the game from left-back. And that's my concern with these players is, if they're not prepared to say, give me the ball, I'll win this game, I'll dominate this game, I'm the best player on the pitch, then there's no future for them as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, as promised, we'll go over to Neil with the tactics board. We'll be back in a minute for more chat about Wolves v Liverpool.
We shouldn't judge Liverpool too harshly. I say that as someone who's now done a post-match show, the Anfield Wrap and the review, and you can hear all of that at theanfieldwrap.com through our tour player service. We shouldn't judge Liverpool too harshly against Wolves. One of the reasons why is, I think finding your way through in a new side, in a new setup, when the way in which you've been drilled and the football you're drilled to play revolves around three of the best attackers in the world in Mane, Firmino and Salah, to suddenly then have to do something completely different of very little preparation time when you just had the biggest game of the season the previous Thursday and the camp has been hit by the flu from the sounds of things is really tough indeed. But there's something else. You're coming up against a Wolves side there that are so brilliantly drilled. Wolves have been playing like this for 2 years. Got it down here. It's the way we've got this represented, it's more of a 3-5-2, which it was certainly in the first half. But these lads get right up and down for them all the way through. They pull wide, the forward men. They know exactly how to occupy areas and occupy space. They can break into that. They can do this sort of thing, or more actually that sort of thing, and split this shape in these different ways. But the point is the bedrock of this is what these footballers have been doing for 2 years. And that's why you got to see them, for instance, in the first half, just almost bore Liverpool into submission, just squash the space and make it really hard for Liverpool to play in any real way. Frustrate these players from the Liverpool point of view, who are trying to just find somewhere they can get on the ball. And in this instance, the counters actually work quite well as a representation of the sheer lack of space that you've got to try to do anything through the whole of the game. There's something else as well, which is James Milner in amongst all of this. When Milner has to deal with the substitution of Lovren, he's dealing with then the idea that he's got this lad here to protect his 16-year-old. He's got this right back who's doing all this sort of stuff. This lad doesn't even play centre half, though he's given it a really good go. He's got his left back over here who he's played with in the past and possibly doesn't trust. And he's trying to get people into the game and look after them. So that further splits the shape. Suddenly Naby Keita's got no real partner. He's got loads of Milner just trying to keep it ticking and stay busy and fight and scrap. These lads are trying to just find somewhere to get involved in the game. And Wolves have got their shape. And that's my point here. All the way through this, and when I was watching the game, I was like, my God, they've committed to this shape. They should actually have been more adventurous, or at least I would say that, but then they'd say, well, we won the game 2-1 and you didn't really hurt us. They knew exactly what they were doing, and as it wears on, as the game wears on, they remember they're the side that won the championship last year, that won a load of games, and this is how you see games out. You kill them, absolutely kill them as a contest. That's what they did, and that's why they're worthy of enormous respect. Quietly, I think that Wolves have got a really good chance of going quite deep into the FA Cup. They look like the 6th, 7th, 8th best team in the country, and they've also got a strong record against the top 5, the top 6, if you put Manchester United back into that bracket, which we might well now have to do. They look to me like they know exactly what they're about. They know exactly how they're going to approach every single game. Yes, they'll make tweaks, but they've got exactly what they're doing with their main players who do it. They had Bowley on the pitch. They had Jimenez on the pitch. They had Neves on the pitch. They had their main men on the pitch for this one. They knew exactly where they all had to be. Liverpool, frankly, were making it up as they went along. That's understandable given the selection, but that's the reality of the game and how it played out.
Okay, thanks to Neil there. So yeah, in general terms, I think a big thumbs up for the young lads yesterday. A big thumbs down for most of the senior players, and also I think it's not great that Wolves don't even have to play that well to win it. Is probably the other thing. But to move on from that, I wanted to look at a couple of tweets that Jamie Carragher put out last night. I don't know if you've seen them or not, but he was saying, I have no problem with the Liverpool selection from Jurgen Klopp, and I would rather we'd won that game, but we have the best chance we've had in years of winning the Premier League, and it may be years before we're in this position again. The big chance we have is not the 4-point lead, but Manchester City and Tottenham playing a lot more games. Now, obviously, City and Tottenham have both progressed in the FA Cup. City have got League Cup as well to come. Both involved in the Champions League as well. Yeah, and then he started to get a lot of replies. He was going backwards and forwards, to be fair to him. One of the other ones that I picked out was, he says, what top team didn't make changes? Maybe that tells you that our squad depth isn't as strong as the others and the first 11 is as good as anything in the league. But then the problem was we got Wolves away, played almost the strongest team, and they've taken points off all the top teams except ... But I mean, this is the thing about how what went on has been interpreted. I mean, I don't know if you've watched Jurgen Klopp's press conference, but he talked about how he didn't want to play Lovren. Lovren hadn't highlighted any problems, but he didn't want to play him because he played in 7 games on the trot. So he was hoping to not play him. Few people have speculated that that mean Henderson was going to play centre-half because Henderson apparently was due to play, but then was sick and couldn't play. Lana was another one who apparently pulled out quite late on. So given those circumstances, that's why you've got the team that you've got. And yet it's still, it's almost like, well, that doesn't fit the agenda and that doesn't fit the line that we want to write about, you know, disparaging the FA Cup or consecutive defeats or the crap about got to win something. I mean, they got to win something. I don't get that either. You know, Wenger won FA Cups and everyone still said he was shit. No. And Klopp touched on this the other day as well. He said, if I win the FA Cup but don't win the league, everyone will just go, why haven't you won the league?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think I said at the start of this, we've got bigger fish to fry, Robbo, and I think the league has to be the priority. So I don't think anyone's got an issue with the selection. And
what do you think about that about the squad? That Carragher's saying?
I think there's something in that, because I think in terms of our squad, I think maybe because we have done so well, we've maybe kidded ourselves a little bit that it's stronger than what it actually is. I think you see over the Christmas period that he's not willing to really give Salah, Mane, Firmino a rest. He plays them in all the games. Yeah. Now, obviously, the games are a bit more nicely spread out than maybe previous Christmas fixtures, but he's not willing to risk an Origi or a Sturridge in those games. He knows that there's a drop-off, there's a big drop-off, and people can throw stats at me around, someone like Sturridge and say, well, his goal involvement is this or is that. Well, sometimes you've got to trust your eyes and what your eyes are telling you, and there is a big drop-off, there's no doubt about it, and that applies to other areas in the pitch as well. I think midfield's been one where we've maybe got numbers in there, but we've got a certain type of player in there, and we haven't maybe got so much of, your Oxlade-Chamberlains who can maybe do something a little bit different. I think with Open Naby kind of becomes something a little bit different, but not quite yet. I think the Carragher bit about the games thing's interesting. I mean, if Liverpool would have got a draw last night, all of a sudden, Man City would have played their game against Wolves on the Sunday afternoon, which feels different than playing Wolves on a Monday night, albeit it's at home. There's something different there. And I think Wolves will really fancy a game on the telly, Monday night, going to Wolves. Let's show everyone what we're about here.
And do the fireworks and all that.
Well, it's at City, but if it was at City...
They might take some with them.
But if it was at City on a Sunday afternoon and not on the telly, that's a different thing. So actually, I think there is definitely something in that, and I think Carragher's right to point out that if these are going to go deep in competitions, yes, they can rotate and stuff, but Spurs' squad is not that big. They're going to have to play a lot of the same lads. City have got a bit more freedom, I suppose, from that respect, and they got the League Cup, and they can probably rotate all the lads for that. But there's definitely something in it. But Brighton's a huge football match for us, and I think most of us are over the FA Cup exit already, but go and beat Brighton, and no one's even speaking about the FA Cup. No one's even speaking about it at all.
I mean, the other thing there, which Ian's touching on a little bit, is that, this now means that Liverpool will have a free weekend in January and in February when everyone else is playing FA Cup football. And, that could be vital for us, couldn't it, in terms of, we've talked about it on here before, about the squad, about when everything's rosy and fine and great, everyone goes, oh, isn't the squad boss, look at the bench. But then, you get a couple of injuries and all of a sudden it's like, hang on, he's not that good, and he's not that good, and he's not that good, and why aren't we dipping into the transfer market? So given that, those breaks could really help us, couldn't they?
Definitely, and I think in anything in life, but especially in sport, people like to be black and white. And the reality is, it's more nuanced than that. Have we got a good squad? Well, what does that mean? Have we got a stronger squad as Man City? No. We haven't got the money they've got. So have we got a squad good enough to win the league and the Champions League, or to go far in both competitions? Probably, if we're a bit lucky with injuries. But maybe not even that. Have Man City got a squad big enough to be in every competition? Yes. Yeah. And that's the difference. Spurs, Ian's point to say, Spurs are similar to us. They haven't got a squad big enough to do everything. So if they try and do everything, we've seen in the past, try and win everything, you'll be spread too thin. So, yes, we've got a really good squad, but we've probably got an excellent 13, 14, 15 players, and that's enough to win the league if you're not trying to win everything else at the same time. So, I think the City thing, and obviously got to be careful talking about City because people get sensitive, but They've seen, even with the squad they've got, Fernandinho gets injured, they don't know what to do. They're struggling all of a sudden because he's such a key player. That can happen to anybody. That could happen to us. They've got the squad to go on all fronts. Definitely, we haven't. So, I mean, again, going back in time, reminds me of when we got knocked out by Burnley in 2005.
Yeah.
And everyone lost their heads, and it was all a disaster. And then 3 months later, we win the European Cup. Well, we probably wouldn't have won the European Cup if we were still in the FA Cup, because he wouldn't have had that chance to rotate those players and rest those players when he needed to. So, at the end of the day, when it comes to those gaps in the season, when we're having a break and City is still playing 3 games a week, I'm not sure, as Ian says, I'm not sure everybody will be thinking about this as long as we're still winning games.
I mean, the other thing as well is literally the sort of the luck of the draw, isn't it? I mean, Liverpool now have gone out 6 of the past 8 times they've gone out being to Premier League opposition. And like, look, it's all well and good sort of comparing us to other teams and how they got on over the weekend. But, you know, like, for instance, I don't know if you watched it, I watched the Tranmere Tottenham game. And, you know, I was sort of willing Tranmere on. I've got a bit of a soft spot for Tranmere, but they were never in it. They were nowhere near them. The gulf was so obvious. And, you know, they strolled to a 7-0. Great. But, you know, like, if that side Liverpool had put out last night was going over to Tranmere, then you'd back them to win, wouldn't you? And whereas Wolves away, you know, they made 5 changes, I think, last night. You know, it's a different proposition. So there's a bit of a luck of the draw thing as well in all this, isn't there?
Of course there is, and I think the manager was right to point out, I think he said it before the game, you know, Liverpool ended up with the toughest draw. You know, there wasn't many, if any, all Premier League clashes. We found ourselves going to a team that's had a really good campaign already. They've beaten some of the top sides. They've given other top sides a real game. So it was never going to be an easy match no matter what. You know, Wolves are a good side. So I think, you know, the manager will say the right things in public, but I think deep down, you know, this won't really be hurting him too much because he knows he now gets that free week. I think it allows him, I think I'm right in saying it's before the Bayern game, he'll get a bit of time to probably take the players away. And I've no doubt in my mind, I've probably booked that training already, you know, somewhere in Spain or Dubai or somewhere, or, you know, warm weather training, go and have a break, go and work on a few things as you're starting to get to that really crucial part of the season. It's no biggie, this, Robbo, you know what I mean? We all want to win trophies, and I'm from a time, as we probably all are, where winning trophies was the big thing, and it was the main thing. But, you know, football has evolved, and the FA Cup's it's not what it was. No, I've talked about this a lot over recent weeks. It's on its arse, quite frankly. And the powers that be have not helped because they've got games spread all over the weekend now. It's fucking bonkers, the games. I mean, you've got games at 12:30, 5:30.
You've got the finals.
Across 4 days.
The finals are 5 on a day when you can't get a train home. And, you know, it's not just Liverpool. If Liverpool are disrespecting it, the FA have disrespected it themselves. There's other clubs disrespecting it. You know, the pot of money, if you win it, shite. There's no place in Europe. You know, there's loads of reasons why it is where it is in terms of the priorities now, isn't it?
Absolutely, and it's just, it's been diluted so much. It's not the competition that it was, you know, 70s, 80s, 90s, when it was worth winning. It was almost like winning a league title. It was that good. It's not that anymore.
Beating Everton in 86 was fucking brilliant.
It's not that anymore.
It always makes me laugh that it's really weird arguments, I think, this whole disrespecting thing. Like, what do you mean? We're disrespecting a competition by doing what? Like, this has been building for 20 years. The way people have approached the FA Cup, if you want to blame anyone, blame Man United, because they were the first ones who went,
pulled out of it.
This isn't that important. Ferguson, great legendary manager, everyone loved, he made a declaration basically to the world, this competition is not that important anymore. And it'd be interesting getting his viewpoint on it now, because he'd probably say, it's not. I won loads of leagues, I needed to win European Cups, we were going in the Club World Championship or whatever it was, that was more important to me. So if they want to have it, if everyone wants to have a serious conversation about what this competition should be, then let's have the serious conversation. But let's not throw mud at Premier League teams who rest players like everybody else and then get knocked out by another Premier League team. And it's nonsense.
There's still a nice aspect to it. I mean, I still enjoy seeing like Newport go through and things like that. And, you know, you'd enjoy watching the draw and like lads from Southport being there for the draw, saying, oh, I can't wait to see who we get and all that. Obviously, they got knocked out by Tranmere and didn't get the glamour tie with Tottenham. But you know what I mean? Or everyone says, oh, the romance is completely dead. I don't think it is. I think there's still nice aspects to the FA Cup. Okay, it isn't what it once was, as you said. Okay, before we go, the last second look went viral. I wasn't on it, but I saw it. It's now been taken down due to the amount of abuse that the internet threw round around. And so we wanted to give that a shout. Well in the internet for being fucking ridiculous about the whole thing, because, you know, an aspect of the game was discussed and then it was turned into all Liverpool fans making an excuse about something. Well, that wasn't how I interpreted it, and maybe I'm biased, but you can fuck right off. But the other thing was Mr. Stuart Brennan, who is the Manchester City reporter for the Manchester Evening News. He's also a bad knobhead, and he was on Twitter last night. This was his tweet. He's a man of a certain vintage and a man with a, you know, fairly important-ish job, or maybe it's not anymore. He says, in case the Anfield Wrap needs something to blame with Liverpool losing, the grass at Molineux is illegally long. Ooh, so me sad, Stu. 2, the goal lines are painted with a yard brush. Ooh, you cad. 3, someone's definitely tampered with the shadows. And then 4, Neves' shot deflected in off some lumpy air. Feel free to use. Now, I've got a big question for Al, Stu. Why the fuck are you asked what we're doing? Why are you asked what Liverpool are doing? Why are you asked what the Anfield Wrap are doing? And why are you putting a tweet out at that time of night, 9:21 p.m, having a go at us, and you get a bit of traction from some dickheads on the internet? I mean, well, then, is that where your career's arrived at, is it, Stu? But, you know, it is weird, isn't it, this sort of where mainstream media's gone, or some aspects of it, where fan media's gone and some aspects of it, and the reaction to that show and Stu's weird tweet.
I think what it shows, and I don't want to speak for Stu because he sounds like a fucking lunatic, but it shows that Liverpool are good, because people now talk about us, and people didn't talk about us not that long ago because we weren't affecting anyone. No one cared because we weren't challenging for the biggest honours. All of a sudden, we're at the top table again, and Liverpool are looking like they could do some serious damage, both in Europe and in this league campaign as well, and that's upset people. And it's upset people because they don't like seeing Liverpool being good. But that's what we are at the minute. We're a really good football side. We've got a brilliant football manager. And we're not that far away from doing something special. There's going to take a little bit of work to get there, but we're close. And you can see it's upset. Weirdly, it's upset City fans, upset Tottenham fans as well. I mean, I know we're going kind of for a title with City, but they're a little bit obsessed. Whereas, you know, United don't seem as bothered. No. Everton are always a little bit fucking mad, aren't they? And a little bit weird, and they're always going to be bothered what we're doing.
Isn't it weird
the
just
City
in
thing
general?
and the Spurs thing's mad.
Isn't it weird just in general, though? Or is it just me? But, like, you know, this is quite clear. It's labelled the Anfield Wrap. It's clearly by Liverpool fans, and it's made for Liverpool fans, and it's a discussion involving Liverpool fans. Why are people jumping on it, clipping only one aspect of it, and throwing it around the internet going, look, Liverpool fans, aren't they all weird? Well, it's just 3 or 4 people sitting here talking. It's not millions of people who support Liverpool football.
Robert's saying I'm weird. You're just throwing us under the bus. It wasn't everyone, it was just them 3.
But you know what I mean? Like, I sort of don't get that. Like, I wouldn't, if things were the other way around, I wouldn't be going watching a Manchester City YouTube channel. That
is a weird thing.
Finding a clip and then going, look, he said this.
But Ian touches on something there which I just think hits the nail on the head. And this is the sad thing for the likes of that journalist and that newspaper. Man United aren't bothered because Man United have got their own stuff. Man United have got their own stuff to write about, and all their fans will read their stuff. So if you're a journalist writing about Man United, there's loads of United fans who'll read your stuff. The sad thing is for, what is his name, Stewie Brennan?
Yeah.
Good old Stewie. The sad thing is for Stewie, he's obsessed with Liverpool because his job is to get people to read his articles, and no one gives a shit about City. They can say what they want, no one cares. All that stuff before they played us of, we're saving football and all that, like, you're not, lads. Everyone thinks you're shit. Everyone thinks you're frauds. Everyone thinks you've taken all this oil money and bought success. No one cares about you. You'll never be like Man United. You'll never be like Liverpool. So to get people to read your stuff, you have to go and find what Liverpool fans are talking about. You have to reference Liverpool all the time because then people are interested. Sound?
Yeah.
You should be interested in Liverpool. We're boss. And you know what? The grass was a bit long. So I don't know what people are banging on about. Vincent Kompany even mentioned it. It's like the outrage and the uproar about it. You're like, all right.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. I mean, I'm sure if you didn't see it, the Manchester Evening News did do an actual story about the Anfield Wrap, talking about the grass in the Manchester City game. I mean,
I got transcribed. They actually, like, not only did they put the video in, but just anyone who can't watch the video,
phenomenal.
They actually, like, typed out what we said.
And then
not the whole show, obviously. Not the whole show,
just that little bit.
The
And then Mark of Mark and Lard fame, he was tweeting about it. Michael Ball, the former Everton footballer, he was tweeting about it. So yeah, well in. I mean, thanks very much. And if this is what you all want to do with your spare time, up the fucking Reds. It's boss that you're obsessed with us. That's been the second look. Love ya. Up the Reds.